Hi guys, it's Andrew here from Eastonmade tonight, and I'm sitting in my own speed shop here. I'm working on my old truck, and I figured I'd take the time to do this video for you folks because I know I've been asked quite a few times by people like how I actually got into building wood splitters, how I got to this point of Eastonmade. So I'm gonna share that with you tonight and kind of let you know how it all came together. I don't know how long-winded this is going to be, so you may want to go grab yourself a coffee or a pint or a ginger ale, whatever suits you. On that note, I was also going to ask you guys about if you want me to do some videos on business, like the business end of business, obviously. I don't know if I have a whole lot of value to add there, but I've been around this a lot. I've been around this my entire life. This is all I know. So on that note, I'm more than happy to share what I know with you guys, whether it be right or wrong. But at a fairly young age, I'm 33 here now. I live a pretty comfortable lifestyle. There's not a whole lot that I don't want or need that I can't go and get. And in terms of my personal life, you have to be able to balance that with your professional life. And I know I may not be perfect at it, but I know I'm fairly comfortable in my position. So on that, if you guys want me to share with you guys how to get there, or if you're having any issues with that, let me know and I can put out some fundamentals there, because it doesn't really matter which business you're in, especially with what we're doing here. I manufacture log splitters. You manufacture firewood. We both take raw material, process it, and send it out to the end user. So the fundamentals are the same, especially with structuring a business and how to do that end of it. I know I may not be correct on all of it, but I might be able to add some value there. So if you think it's worth it to you, let me know and I'll try and do a couple of those videos for you in the future. So in terms of myself, my dad owns Bell's Fire Process. My dad is Brent from Bell's Machining. Growing up, Dad was a logging contractor is what he did. He owned log trucks, skidders, feller bunchers, slashers, excavators, bulldozers. Dad, if it was a piece of equipment to go to the woods with, my dad owned it. And Dad had started that with just an old 220 Timberjack years and years ago, and he's built it up into what Bell's is today anyways. So growing up, my job was to service log trucks and to make sure the trucks were running, make sure equipment was running and ready for Monday morning sort of thing. So I was fortunate enough to be able to grow up around that stuff and around great people. Like Dad, it was kind of strange back then. We kind of all thought we were a bunch of misfits, but looking back now, I'll tell you, there was an exceptional group of men there. They were great. Like I don't know if I've ever been around the caliber of men as what Dad had back then. We like Billy Elliott and Darrell Bell and Dennis Umferson and like that Dennis Umferson, I'll tell you, he's an exception. I've never seen a mechanic like that in my life. He can take something of complete trash and turn it into treasure and make it work. And that's the big thing with this. You got to be able to make it work. And I was fortunate enough to have a mentor like Dennis Umferson around to help me in a vital time of my life to help grow me into what I am today. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of guys like that, like Donnie Huff and Ronnie Ferguson taught me how to weld. I worked for Ronnie Elliott. I don't think I know how to paint. So I was fortunate enough to have all that growing up right here. I had to get out of bed and go to work for it every day, but that was something that just had to be done. So that's my background with that anyway. So growing up, that's what I did. I knew from a fairly early age that I didn't want to be a logger. I thought as a kid that's what I was going to do. But things changed, and I wanted to be a mechanic. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a mechanic, and I worked in the bush for Dad. Probably from the time I was probably 14 or 15 until I was 20, I bet, yeah, in around there. I worked in the bush on and off for him, and so I've had quite a bit of experience in that end of it. So I wanted to go and be a mechanic, so that's what I did. I went and I worked at the local GM dealer. In the time that I worked at the local GM dealer, it was around 2008 or so. And in this time, Dad knew that I had an interest in the mechanics. That's what I wanted to do. So 2008, if you're familiar with the timeline there, it was a pretty difficult time for people. Stock market crash, a lot of things got tight. Just prior to that, to when the market crashed, I think it was in November the market crashed, and Dad had purchased Bell's machine shop earlier that summer. Probably that spring he had purchased Bell's machine shop. He knew that I had an interest in mechanics, so that's why he did that. Dad didn't think he'd get it. He went in and seen Chris in there, and Chris had been trying to sell the machine shop for not a whole lot of time, I don't think. But Dad went in there and he kind of I guess he kind of lowballed Chris, and Chris called him up a couple of days later and said, yeah, if you want that, come and get it. So Dad got a pretty good deal on Bell's when he bought it. At that time, it was a small family-run shop, right in Perth. It was right on Main Drag on Highway 7. It's where Shoppers Drug Mart is now, if you're familiar with the area at all. But the Bell's building got torn down, and kind of that whole block got turned into Shoppers Drug Mart. So Dad had moved across town. And again, that timeline, 2008, I was working at the GM dealer, and things got, I don't think things got tight there. I think it just, the GM dealer's still going. It's actually a Dodge dealer now, but at that time, there was some turbulence there. And I had a job to go to. I was able to, I knew if I went to Bell's, I had a job. So that's what I did. I had left the auto mechanic side of it, and then I went and worked at Bell's, and in that time around 2008, things got tight, things got slow. We had to come up with an idea to put all these new hired people. Or Dad had just bought this business, and right in 2008, the whole business at Bell's was all it was all the local factories and stuff. That's what they were. They were more or less a millwright welding service. So they kept kind of the town going, the town's factories. 2008, when he bought that, it was 4 or 5 months later, it dried up. The work wasn't there anymore. And then, so anyways, we had to come up with a make work project, and it just so happened that Cord King was right across the road from us. And Doug Eastonmade had walked over to Cord King. He wanted kind of a weird looking processor, is what he wanted. He wanted something that could split 4-foot wood, and he would have control over the wood. So Cord King wanted to build it for him, and we needed something to do. So Doug Sonnenberg came across the road, and that's how the first Bell's processor was made. Doug Sonnenberg did that and put that together, and halfway through building that one, they sold another one. We sold another one, and honestly, the processor were just a make work project. We didn't think it would turn into what it is today. During that time, like I designed a lot of the hydraulic system, a lot of the electrical system on the processors. Did a lot of work with that end of it. I did a lot. My background's in processors. That was kind of my baby. I put a lot of time in there, a lot of hours, and I learned a lot of things at a fairly quick rate in there, and we've turned out with what the processors are today. So during that time, me and Dad are, if you've ever anybody in your family, you know exactly how that goes. You seem to have the same goal there, but this guy might want to take this road and this guy take that road. So that's kind of what happened there. Is me and Dad couldn't get along when we worked together. We still both at all to get together and shoot the shit and carry on with one another just the same as any other father and son. But you put us together working in the same spot, and it doesn't seem to pan out so well. So that's how that works out anyways. And I left there. I left Bell's And then I went and I worked in a local factory at Albany International. It's right in the town of Perth, and I'll tell you, a great bunch of people in there. They're really good spot to work. I worked as a millwright in there. I was a mechanic in there. Pulled wrenches, worked on looms. Really good bunch of guys to work with. Really good bunch of people to work with. They've got, I can't say enough about the people in there. The camaraderie with it, and with everybody in there. They make you feel like family. It was a great spot to work. But it got to a point where I had kind of gone up the ladder as far as I could go. I'm a mechanic. I have my automotive license and my millwright license. In Canada, you have to go have I guess called a red seal. You have to be competent in the trade. So that's what I've got. So at that time, I had my millwright license in Albany, just the way that it was structured, and then with working nights and stuff, I didn't think there was a whole lot more room for me to grow there. And I talked to a handful of people, and I decided, you know what, I'll go back and I'll give bells a try. Talked to Dad. I was still fairly young. I was 6 years ago, and I went back and I gave her another shot. I gave another try. In this time, my wife Stacy, we were pregnant with her first son Jackson, and I made it about 3 or 4 months. That's about as far as I made it into bells. So I quit this really big paying job here at a local factory. Great benefits and great people to work with. Great retirement package. I pretty well had it all in there, and besides working nights, that was pretty well the only downfall of it. So I quit this really good job, and I made it about 3 or 4 months back into bells, and then and the wife came home, and it was early because I normally worked pretty staggering hours, and it was about 4 o'clock. The wife had got home from work, and I was sitting at the kitchen table and drinking a beer, and she clearly seen that I was upset, and she asked me what was going on. I said I quit bells, and you could just see kind of the glow in her face. You know that look on a woman's face when you know you done something wrong. And so she calmly, she knew I was upset, and she said to me, well, what are you gonna do? And I said, I think I'm gonna build wood splitters. And you could just see the just from like, there was like that tinge of pink right to red there, and she kept her composure. She said, well, okay. And we kind of just went about it that way. She was kind of she wasn't quite sure what to think, and I'll tell you, I didn't have a whole lot of support in the beginning of it. It was kind of an uphill battle, both my personal life and not so much with Stacy, but with everybody else. It was kind of a what the hell is that guy doing? Has he lost his mind? But I knew at that time, with working with processors, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people like yourself that knew that I knew there was a big gap between a good splitter and a processor. I knew that if somebody went in there and could build a good splitter, they'd have a good chunk of the market. They would be able to push out and have a good chunk of it. So I started off at that time, I lived not here, I lived in Glentay, in a small basement garage. It was a 24 by 24 garage. It was in my basement, and I worked in that garage for about a year, and it got tight. It went really well. I was actually fairly fortunate that it went as well as it did, because they kind of built the first one, and then an almost lot up in North Bay took it. And then the next guy was Gan DeLorne. He's on the far end of Ottawa. And then I think Brad Wright maybe is the third guy. He's in Prince George. I think I got his name right. He's on some of the Facebook groups, but he's actually got machine number 3. And it just kind of continued to build from that. Wes Griffin got me onto the Facebook pages here. He said, you gotta check out this page, this Firewood Fockers page. And I said, well, I'll check it out. I'll see how it goes for me. I'll see what's happening there. And that turned into a big marketing avenue for me through the Facebook groups, and the support that I've gotten through social media like that has been great. Like it really has been fantastic. So around that time, Dad about a year into it, I was running out of room. I knew that it was kind of, we were gonna go with it. It was gonna happen. We were making it happen. It was gonna fly then. So around that same time, Dad had built his house up country here, and then he had the truck shop, the E&S shop, where his logging business was. So around that same time, I was growing, he was moving, and I ended up buying my house I grew up in, that turned out pretty good. At that time, it was a big chunk. It was a big pill to swallow. It was more money than I thought I would ever pay for any property or anything in my life, and it was pretty scary at that time. But I knew that we had to push for it. We had to keep going at that point. We had to keep going. We knew it was gonna work if we kept going at it. So we moved out here, and then I moved into actually the big shop that we're in. Bill Breckenridge, Dad had actually sold his logging business in this time, and Bill Breckenridge was in the big shop there, and Bill had a 2-year lease on it. So I was halfway through the 2-year lease, so I had a year left before I could actually get to the big shop. And then this is kind of how I ended up in here. Me and Murphy and KTM Kenny Beach worked out of this shop for the next year, and cousin Mike was in there a wee bit. He helped us out in along there, Logan Woods, and Devin Roberts made it for half a day. So anyways, we worked in here for about a year, moved up to the other shop about a year after that, and moved into there. And now we're in the same situation. We're in the same situation where I've got to do something, I've got to grow. Is obviously the orders are coming in at a rate that we're not capable of actually producing. We can produce, obviously, but we know how many machines that we can build in a day, a week, a month, sort of thing. And the orders that are coming in are surpassing that. So I've been working on it since about mid-April, trying to get permits and stuff together. And the people at the township have been amazing. I'll tell you, the folks at Drummond Township here, really great bunch of people to work with. And they've been more than helpful. It's just, they gotta follow a structure, they gotta follow a path, right? So it's neither here nor there. So that's kind of how Eastonmade all came together. That's pretty well the story, right from start to finish. There, it's been I guess a roller coaster up and down, but we've got it pretty well leveled out here now. Everything seems to be running smooth. It's going good. I've been really fortunate. It's been from support from people like you, from people watching these videos and spreading the word for us, and that have been giving us feedback and helping us make better machines. And I really appreciate that, guys. It really does mean the world to us to hear from everybody and what's going on. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, give her a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button on the bottom there, and if you, like I said, if you want me to kind of give my insights on the business end of things, I don't mind doing that. Like I said, the last 6 years have been good. There's been a lot of nights, a lot of time that I put in on this that is a lot of time. A lot of nights where you work through the night, and a lot of nights where you just push forward and you grin and bear. But at the end of it here now, obviously we're not at the end of it, but we're well structured enough that it functions and functions well, and that's the biggest thing with this, guys. If you're building a business, you have to build a machine. And I'm not saying a wood splitter. I'm saying the business has to be a machine. It has to work. It has to run. And you have to make sure that it does so, not necessarily without you, but you have to make sure that especially if you have people working for you, there's a path for them to follow. And you have to make sure for yourself that there is a path for yourself to follow. If you don't have a path at the end of it, you don't know where you're going, you're not going to make it. And that's just the bottom line, guys. Not so much you have to have a perfect plan, but you have to have an idea of which way you're going with it. You really do, and you have to know kind of where you're going to be at the next step and how that next step is going to play out and how you're going to get there. So anyways, guys, like I said, if you like the video, give her a thumbs up. Really appreciate all the support, and I hope this is of some value to people. I hope this answers the question of how I ended up building some wood splitters. So really appreciate it, guys. I hope to see you on the next one.